Hey guys, it's Laurie of Laurie's Little Studio, and I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is my last project, and it is one of my favorite things now. I just love it. I love the way it feels. It's got that glitter on it. I used the Spectra Glitter 3+, and so nice having all of my paintbrushes and palette knives and everything in one place, where I can see them and I can get to them, and if I pull one out, 5 more aren't going to come with it. That was what was happening with the jars. You know, the necks are a little bit too small and you pull out a paintbrush and 2 other ones come with it. But this has been fantastic. Just a coffee can, Mod Podge, glue, paper, and glitter. And today I'm going to work on several other projects. I have a cutie, you know, one of those little tiny mini oranges. I think sometimes they're called halos. I have a skewer, and I have some whole cloves, so I think you know where I'm going with this project. Before I do that, if you've been following me for a while, you probably remember this fabric. I bought it for a duffel type travel bag project that I didn't get to over the summer because, well, life happens. And it is supposed to go with some chicken fabric that I bought for that bag, and this was going to be the straps and the handles and some of the other accents. But it's red and green, and I love cherries. So how cute is this, right? I have to style my Christmas table, which is huge. Any tablecloth that I buy has to be long and wide because I have a very big long oval table. All of my tablecloths have just they're just worn out. I'm not thrilled with any of them, so I bought a drop cloth. So here are the conversions. My tablecloths have to be at least 72 inches for any kind of a drop off over the sides, on the long sides, and then on the rounded portions of the table, it has to be at least 102 for even just a minimal drop off, like about that much. So 108 is perfect. So this is literally just a canvas drop cloth. It's cotton duck, it's 6 ounces, and I'm gonna wash it and I'm gonna drip dry because I don't want it to shrink. So let's open it and I'll see what it feels like. Okay, I'm gonna hang on to this, and oh, it's just perfect. It's not too heavy. I think it's absolutely perfect for a tablecloth. There aren't any raw edges. It's absolutely perfect. So my plan, if we pretend like this is on my table right here, this will just be length and width. I put that on the table, and then this will be a table runner. And I have a lot of stuff in the center of this big wide table. So I'm not even going to stitch it. I'm just going to fold it and have it run down the center, and I'll put all my Christmas deco right along this pretty red and green fabric, and I think it's a perfect pop of color. I have Santa Claus, old world looking Santa Claus candlesticks. I have a big white ceramic Santa with glitter cookie jar that I like to use as a decoration. I have one of those little Swedish 4 candles chime things that goes around and around while the candles are burning. And I'll have various other things in the center of the table, and then there'll be 2 on one side seated, and then 1 on probably this end down here and 1 here. We're having 2 dinners, so both of those back-to-back dinners, 24th, 25th. I'm just going to use this. And then, because I just felt like I didn't want to buy something Christmassy, the fabric, I just did not need Christmassy fabric. I've had Christmassy fabric in the past. You do a lot of fun stuff with it, but this time I didn't really need it, and I didn't want to spend the money, so I'm going to use this. I think it's perfect. They will both be on my table. Oh, and I was going to say, if something happens to this fabric, if it gets stained and I can't get whatever it is out, I believe it's 7-berry. Yeah. So it's a 7-berry, which is easy. I mean, I'm almost able to find all the 7-berry fabrics that I like. I mean, it could go out of print, I guess, but because it is just printed fabric, or printed design, as you can see the back of it. It's not woven, it's printed. But it's easy enough to replace. And honestly, if I can't find a replacement for this for the duffel bag that I plan to make in 2023, which is less than a month away, then I'll just use a different 7-berry. It's not like I can live with the fact that it wouldn't be in that particular project. I'm going to put that in the machine and wash it. So that's that project. Coming up, I won't be doing that one today, but I also have, aside from this project today, I have one other project that I want to, I don't know if I'm going to get to it or if I'm going to try it. I hope I can get to it. I don't know if I have any gesso, but I do know that I have some titanium white paint. And I have a stack of these padded envelopes. I'm going to take, I think I'm just going to use my chalk paintbrush. I don't know why. Yeah, no, I'm not. I'll use this bright right here. And we're going to paint the front with this. The reason that we're painting the dark on here is because it might show through our paper, and I don't want it to show through. So I have several spots. I probably put too much paint on here, but like I said, I don't have gesso, and I just feel like this is a good choice. It will be covered up. If you're using one of those paper tan envelopes, you may want to paint the whole thing if you're using a light colored paper or napkin for your decoupage. And I'm just getting down into the little cracks and crevices. You don't have to be this picky, but I put too much paint on here and I'm trying to use it up. Okay, there we go. Now, you put this there. Okay, I will go wash this out in a minute. Alrighty. Now we need to set this aside and let it dry. But the plan here is, I'll try it off fast, to take either a napkin that you have pulled all the layers off of and you're just going to use that single layer of printed napkin paper or paper towel if you have printed paper towels. And you can use decoupage paper. I only have Christmas theme, so I'm probably not going to use that. And if you have rice paper, then you can completely cover up the used portion of this envelope with your rice paper and absolutely repurpose something that you would normally just throw away. There's a full sheet, and see, that's basically an 8 by 10, which would be really, really cool. So once it dries, I will be working on that. So next, we're going to work on this little project. I have my whole cloves, and they're really old. I mean, to be honest, they're not fresh. I probably should go buy some fresh whole cloves. Oh, they smell so good though. They're like old, and I'm hoping that they're gonna not fall apart on me. But that's why I'm using a cutie instead of a full orange, because they, you know, they're small. Let's see, this one is 1.5 inches by 2. Pretty small. So the way that I've done these in the past is I make sure I have cloves with stems. I also have a bunch of these, which I usually put into a pot of boiling water on the stove and let them cook, because I'm not going to use them on an orange, but there are quite a few in here. Okay, and then you just, I've got paint on my hand. You just kind of decide, you know, what kind of a design you want. Like if you want to do spiral, I might try a spiral. And I think I'll go just a little bit to the right of the center of the stem area and just kind of poke a hole. And then that makes it so easy to put your little clove in. And if you need guidance on where you're going to be putting your cloves, you can use a pen. I'm not going to put these like super close together since I don't have very many. I did kind of look in my spice rack just to see if there was a potential second jar, but I didn't see any. I apparently decided I needed a whole bunch of ground cloves because, oops, I have many of those. I do like cloves. I like the taste, and I like the way they smell, and I like the flavor that they add to certain foods. I'm going to go ahead and just poke these holes in advance, which you can do. I'm using my little poker skewer thing that deep at most. I don't know if that's going to focus. There we go. So what is that? It is 3/4 of an inch. And you might not even have to go in that deep, but these have long stems, so I would gauge it based on that. Oh, it smells so wonderful in here. Yum. Alright, so the next thing to do is ribbon. I decided to use some glass head pins to kind of help it, and they just look like little white berries. Alrighty, so I've been adding this 3+ glitter to my little cutie, and I'm loving the way it's looking. It's almost like it got left out in the snow and got frosty. So once it's dry, I might spray it with some Mod Podge gloss, clear acrylic sealer, and we'll see how it works. I'm very pleased with the way it looks right now. And I have glue and glitter and paint all over my hands, so I'll be right back. Okay guys, so we're like in about an hour and a half of drying time. I'm really pleased with how it's turned out. It's very stable with that glue across the top. I mean, I could paint these little white things, the little heads on the pins, I could paint those red, which why not? We'll go ahead and do that real quick. And instead of painting them, I'm going to use a Sharpie. Okay, so it's just a regular old fine point Sharpie permanent marker, and these are glass head pens, so I think that the Sharpie will work just fine. Oh yeah, look at that on these little berries. And there we go. I think that just turned out so cute. So I will put this in a some type of arrangement. I feel like it needs to dry overnight because there are some little bits that I can feel. The glue isn't even tacky, but it's not quite dry yet. So I will leave it in here overnight. And I have to tell you, if you need to really get a room smelling pretty, there you go, right there. So the next thing I want to talk about was this. I have put 2 coats of white, titanium white on this where the black numbers are. I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and put a piece of paper, or maybe like I did on my paintbrush container, I'm just going to do a mishmash, and that way I don't have to worry about using a full sheet. I have lots of little tiny pieces. And you have to use a glue, or I think, you know, on this one, whoops, I think I'll just try the Mod Podge. I know it will stick. It may not stick great, but the paint on this is a little tacky, so it might just be a perfect blend of sticky. And I am going to be ordering some more rice paper because my goodness, do I love this. It's just wonderful. I adore it. So let's give this a quick coat. Here we go, of Mod Podge. Now I know with glue you can dilute it and it'll stay wet longer and all that goodness. I don't know about Mod Podge, but I'm on a journey to discover how these things work. And I am happy that you're with me on this journey. Okay. Oh. I'm trying to keep it from sliding around. You know how you do, you hold it by a little tiny piece down there in that corner. It's funny, but we do it. And I have to get these little side bits as well. I may end up having to glue those. I don't know. Like I said, I'm new to this whole Mod Podge project. I'm enjoying the heck out of it though. We're going to let that dry. So, it's the next day, and this is the envelope that we worked on yesterday. And on the back you can see where the paper has overshot the edge. So I'm just going to trim that off wherever I see that. And then I'm going to take it outside and I'm going to spray it pretty heavily with this clear acrylic sealer. But first I'm going to trim off without cutting into the envelope. If you had a ruler and a rotary cutter that you use for cutting paper, that would work. I wouldn't want to put it in my swing line paper cutter because I might accidentally cut into this and I don't want to do that. So I'm just going to go slowly along the edge there and trim that off. I might give both the front and the back. I don't know about the back. I think the back is fine. So I'm going to go spray it down and I'll be right back. Okay, that's our temperature today, right now, in Western Washington. The real feel is 11, and I can truly attest, having been out there spraying the Mod Podge acrylic sealer and knowing I was going to either have to wait outside for it to dry or just figure out a way to kind of anchor it down to keep it from blowing away, I decided to take a chance. After a few minutes, it was too cold. So it's out there drying, and this is the Avery 5444 address labels that are, you know, this size right here, which is basically what I would use on one of these envelopes that I'm doing. And if you want to, you know, make it fancy, the best way, in my opinion, is to cut the label that you're going to use. The label itself is paper. So my idea, I'm going to see if it'll work, is to take one of these bigger envelopes that I don't intend to save. Like so. And I need some paint or some ink, which I don't have. So I'm going to go grab some paint and I'm going to fix up this label and then I'll put it on the envelope. Alright, so I have my spray bottle of water and I'm going to use this little scrubby brush. Alright, so next I'm going to just spray my palette with some water. It's a fine mist. And what I want to do is, I think I'll go with this shade of brown right here, and that's really all I can call it. Okay. I don't want a whole lot of paint on my brush, but it can't be dry either. And then I'm just gonna run along the edge so that I'm just getting the edge, not a whole lot. Okay, so that kind of gives it this look right here. And you can, you know, fiddle around with it if you want more on the edges. I want to try something. I'm just curious. I've seen others do it, and I just have this idea in my head. I might be crazy, but that's okay. Oh, it's separated. I forgot it was frozen when I got it. It came through the mail. The Winsor & Newton calligraphy ink. So in the process of being frozen, it has since separated. We'll see what it looks like now. A little bit better. I feel like I should get like pipettes to pull that ink out with. All right. Alright, so here's the label that I'm not going to peel and stick yet because the envelope is still a little wet, but it's so cold outside I just don't know if it would dry. But I think you can see however you want to orient your label. Let me get you a little bit closer. It's kind of a nice look, and frankly you wouldn't even have to use it as a mailer. If you do decide to use it as a mailer, you'll need to figure out a way to close it up here, and that might be to just trim away some of the top here, get this evened up, and then just bring it over with some glue. You know, just as a, if you remove part of this decorated edge, this other edge would just simply fold over on the top, and I'll show you how to do that when it's dry. But it's definitely still sticky. Alright, so there's that. You could make a matching return address if you wanted to, or you could use these to store documents in your own home rather than sending them out into the world. So I'm going to do one more using a brown envelope. I'll set this aside like that. And I think in the next little bit I'm going to grab some gesso. I need to get some anyway to kind of, you know, mask this and the address label on this side. That also needs to be masked. I don't want to pull it off, and I don't think I have to. I believe that it would work just fine to paint like we did with the other one. And also the paint, especially a latex acrylic paint, adds a layer of protection. Like I can see right here, this envelope got opened on the side. So you know what we're going to do? We're going to go ahead and trim out, like I was talking about on the other one. I'm just going to trim out a lip edge. We need to see if we're even, which, yep, looks like we are. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this out. So basically you just measure down an equal distance on both sides, and then you just fold it down and trim off this piece here. And then when you get ready to seal it to mail, you don't have all that extra bulk, and you can just fold that over. love this. I have recycled an envelope. All right, guys, I'll see you in a little bit. So this side is completely dry. I don't see any, there's this weird little blob right here. I don't know what that is, but okay. So here's the envelope, and here's the other side of the envelope. Hey, we're recycling. Maybe not just like a box, but all right. So this, I was going to try to paint this a different color, something other than white. And I'm gonna, let's see, probably a teal. I might go with a teal. So what I need to do is mix some paint. Okay, I've returned. So as you can see, this is the type of glue. You can either use the school glue or you can use the glue all. With this type of product, it's gonna all be the same. I have more of the school glue, so I'm just gonna use that. And I'm going to put some water in one of my old millions and millions of iron accessories that I get every time I purchase a new iron. I'm going to use one of them that just kind of live in the studio. I don't even know how many of these I have, but they're good for projects like this because it has a pour spout, and if I needed to pour this, simple, easy peasy. So I'm going to use a ratio of, I don't even know how much water that is. It looks like maybe 4 tablespoons. And I'll use about 6 tablespoons of glue. I know a lot of people do it the other way. More water, less glue. I'm using more glue, less water. I'm going to try to reuse the gluey, no. Was it this one? Yeah, it was this one. I need a paper towel. Oh. Now I know from the past, if you have leftover of this, you can easily put it in a jar with a lid and save it for another project. So if I end up with too much, I'll just pour it into one of my mini jars and save it for another day. I'll have to label what it is. It kind of looks like starch. I use the starch pellets that you mix with water in a spray bottle. Wow, I can talk today. Okay, so we are pretty well blended. Yep, and I'm going to use this underneath. I'm going to take the back of my paintbrush, which has a little point on it, and I'm going to intentionally pull this away from itself because, you know, we don't want this to stick, and if it were glued, to get it unglued, it would probably tear. So I'm going to set that one there, and actually I'm going to clean this one, so I'll put a couple different ones in. I have a palette knife I can use, and this just kind of keeps it from closing up on itself and causing a problem. Yeah, I'm looking to see if I have glue under it and I don't, but it shouldn't take it too long to dry in this room. The heat is on and the air is dry. I have some ephemera, you know, junk that you repurpose that I could use on this project because it's not Christmas. So let me go grab that really quick. All right. I have to slide this up a little bit. Okay, so this now has to completely dry. It's probably going to be a good solid hour. I have some packages to wrap, and I will do that while this is in the process of drying. I do highly recommend, if you decide to follow along with me doing this project, that you make sure that you put something here to keep this glue from gluing your envelope shut. It's simple. I think you could use, you know, just about anything. If you have some like plastic flatware, old paintbrushes, pens, anything that you could poke in there to just keep that off of the glue, that would be good. And then I need to cut this one down. I'm going to go ahead and do it. I think I'm going to try to use my scissor blades as a measurement guide. So about right there. Okay. And yeah, that looks like the perfect amount. And I'll just either glue it or tape it if I use it as an envelope, which I probably will. I might send something to somebody in this just to see how it does in the mail, and then I can let you guys know. It's time for me to call my sister, 2:30 in the afternoon. As you guys, if you've been following me for a while, you already know that. But this is like mostly dry, so I thought I would come check and see if there's anything I need to do before I make that phone call. I think it's still a little bit too wet in certain spots to put the Mod Podge or the shiny, whatever it is I end up doing. I mean, I'm probably going to go ahead and put the Mod Podge on there. For sure, after it's completely dry, I will be giving it a coat of the clear acrylic sealer. But that goes on outside. It's just not quite dry enough, and I do see some spots that will need a little tiny bit of glue. Alright, we're looking pretty good. This is this side. This is the side that if I put a label on it, it will be like right here. So I will be painting one of these, pick up the water, and then just I'm going to do some super dark blue, well, green, sort of a teal, right there. Around the edges. And remember, when you're doing around the edges, your paintbrush handle should be facing away so that you're just going to get the outer edge. If you are like this, you're likely going to drag it across. Leave that open to dry. Alrighty, and when I come back, that's what we're going to work on. So I'm going to go call my sister and I will check in with you in a little while. So while I was talking to my sister on the phone, I just went ahead and peeled off the label and I put it way up here. I don't know why I did that, but I think it's okay. This closes this way. It may be that it's not in the right place, and well, you know what? I just peeled that right off, didn't I? You can maybe see there is some metallic sheen to it now. I kind of hate to cover up this, but you know, it's all part of it, and I think I could just put it like here. I think I'm going to have to glue it, but anyway, so this one, when I take it outside and give it a good spray with the clear acrylic, it's almost like not worth it because it is 16 degrees outside. Well, wait a minute. Let's see what it is. Let's just see what it is. Ooh, it's warmed up to 22 degrees outside. So there's that. I do know from yesterday that I left this outside after I sprayed it with this, and it dried a little bit. This part was still wet. I didn't spray it, but it did get on there. And then I had to put it on top of my garden box, and it just, I don't know, I could tell that it had already, as my dad used to say, off-gassed. The high fumes from this, the vapors and the fumes had dissipated from this, but it was still wet. So because I couldn't smell any of the fumes, I went ahead and brought it back in the house to warm up and finish drying. And I think that's what I will be doing with this one. I'll just take it out, give it a spritz, and then let it finish kind of letting the fumes go away, and then I'll bring it in to finish drying up. But my whole point is I'm happy that I have discovered this fun project to do. I can use up some of my decoupage papers, my other rice papers. If I had, like, I was thinking about even using wrapping paper, because I have got some of the most beautiful wrapping paper in my storage closet, the same place that I buy my Christmas paper. So that would be fun to use. This probably will be the last video of 2022, unless I figure out something hits my head that is a quick project that I can do between the 22nd and the 24th. I hope your holiday is fantastic, that you're able to spend it with your favorite people, and if you can't see those people, that you can speak with them and just kind of have a good, solid, happy ending to 2022, because my plans for 2023 are a whole lot of sewing. I'm going to do some how to use your Bernina 1080 special. So if you have one and you haven't been able to use it, just know that starting in January, we are going to do some things on the Bernina 1080 that might help you with your sewing. I have projects galore. I've got some duffel bags, some shirts, I think, some alterations, all kinds of things that I want to do, and I've not been really able to get back to my sewing machine. Poor old George, he feels like he's being neglected over there. But once I get all this cleaned up and him over here, he's going to be busy. He's going to be really busy. So thanks a bunch, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.